Awake. Shake dreams from your hair, my pretty child, my sweet one. Choose the day and choose the sign of your day, the day's divinity. First thing you see. A vast, radiant beach and cool, jeweled moon. Couples naked race down by its quiet side. And we laugh like soft, mad children, snug in the woolly cotton brains of infancy. The music and voices are all around us. Hello there, friends and kin. Thank you for tolerating my obsession with Jim Morrison. That was the Ghost Song from American Prayer, an album predominantly consisting of Jim reciting poetry over what usually sounds like 70s adult entertainment industry music. But I love it nonetheless. I can jam out and boogie to that all night long. I love it. So, this is going to be a new, we'll call it series on my channel. And I've decided to call it Confessions and Convictions. Something to that effect. I don't know. I'll polish out a title later. But this is where I just kind of deliver some commentary on personal experiences. It's my personal perspectives, and this is just sort of, I guess it's going to be like a miscellaneous category of things that don't neatly fit in any of the other series I do on this channel. And but, you know, if I have an experience one day that I just want to share and elaborate on and contemplate on, and this is where I'm going to slap it. And like I said, I'll hammer out a solid title for it, maybe a few episodes in, and name it after I have a positive feel for what it's going to be. But I like the idea of confessions and convictions, because it's kind of captures the root of what I'm doing here. So what sparked this was I wanted some space to share an experience that I had today and kind of talk a little bit about how I internalized it and the thoughts it provoked in me after the fact. So today I had to unfortunately delete and block a longtime friend on social media. And this wasn't somebody I met online. This is somebody I knew in person. We met through mutuals, and we had a common interest in music. We were never in a band together, but he had been in a band with several of my previous bandmates when they were younger. And so we were connected through music. And he moved away years ago, so he's no longer local. But we kept in touch through social media, and he and I had differing opinions and beliefs on things. But up until today, we were always able to talk about our perspectives in a peaceful and respectful way. It's one of the reasons I kept him around. Is I value that. I highly value that when somebody who has a different perspective can talk to me respectfully, and even if we don't come to an agreement by the end of the conversation, we can still maintain a level of courtesy and respect. And one of the biggest differences between he and I is that he's Catholic, and you know, I've had Catholic friends before. and they know my feelings on the church, and so usually uh, we avoid the topic. Um, he and I typically avoided that topic, but whenever I made a post, and this was Facebook specifically, whenever I made a post that portrayed Christianity, specifically Catholicism, in a negative light, he would always come back with, yeah, the Catholic Church does more charity work than any other organization in the world and has done all this good for people. And I've told him on multiple occasions that, okay, yeah, that may be the case now. I think those numbers are a little inflated. Um, but I think that you're feeling defensive and attacked because I'm bringing up something negative about the church in the past, and I'm not talking about it right now. And I'm not talking about your right to profess that faith or pursue that faith. I firmly believe that faith is a deeply personal thing, and I don't think anyone has the right to dictate what your faith is supposed to look like, or even where you get your inspiration and guidance from. If you get it from a fucked up place, then you're going to end up walking a very fucked up path, and that's your right. Have at it. Hopefully, you learn from it. Uh, but to get, I want to get real specific with this because I want to paint a very clear picture about what happened. I posted this meme that was a quote from an indigenous American man giving his take on Jesus Christ. And his take was that Jesus Christ is not a savior. The people that interacted with my ancestors and under the banner of Jesus Christ and his faith stole my ancestors' land and raped our women and ultimately murdered quite a large number of us. So I do not see Jesus Christ as a force of kindness, compassion, and I'm paraphrasing here, but that was the sentiment of what this man was expressing. He was talking about historically his personal experience with Christianity, which was not positive. And the particular gentleman that I had to delete and block, he fired back with yet again, the Catholic Church does all these wonderful things in the world, and I responded, hey, he's not singling out Catholicism. He's talking about his people's historical experience with Christian individuals. And due to their experience and the behavior of the Christians that they interacted with, they did not see it as a force for good in the world. And I think that experience is proven pretty dead on accurate. And that's what I was trying to get this guy to understand, that the man being quoted here, his overall experience with Christianity, historically and at present, was not positive. And that's not an attack on you. It's not an attack on your faith or your right to have your faith. This is simply one person sharing their experience with organized Christianity and the Christians his people had contact with early on in colonial history. And I said, you seem to have a really hard time accepting the fact that not everybody's experience with Christianity is positive. Now, I understand, Christianity pulled you out of a dark place. It gave you something to believe in, something to aspire to, and that's a beautiful, wonderful thing. But you also have this expectation for everyone else to have the same experience with it. Why is that? Just because your experience was positive, why do you have such a hard time accepting that somebody else's experience wasn't? And I don't know if for him, and because I've had this experience with people before, they can't handle hearing anything negative about their ideology or their religion or whatever other traditions they study, learn from, practice. They can't handle any negative commentary about it. And I don't know if that comes from a seed of doubt in you, and so you can't handle hearing any negative commentary because it ruins your expectation that this religion, this creed, or whatever is flawless. Your experience is your own, and as is every other human being's. And I don't understand why, because this is a very large um, problem, at least from my opinion, because it's a human behavior that I just see over and over and over again. We can't handle it when somebody doesn't validate our perception of reality or doesn't share our experience. And if they don't, when they talk about not sharing our perspective, why is that automatically taken as an attack? Why is it taken as an assault on your stance and your belief? And he didn't want to engage me in probing a little deeper as to why he was reacting the way he was. He just kept throwing the same, these same statistics out about how much good the Catholic faith does in the world. And finally, he posted a meme of a guy dressed up in Viking garb, holding a crucifix in his hand, and the caption on the picture said, "If you love paganism so much, why don't you practice the most or the most how was it worded? If you love paganism so much, why not embrace the same tradition all pagans did, and that is convert to Christianity?" And I got belligerent in response to that. I said that's about the most ignorant thing I think I've ever read. Because conversion to Christianity was not a beautiful, magical experience to most of the pagans of Western Europe. For a lot of them, it was a socio-political decision. The chieftains and the aristocracy converted first because they were promised titles and positions of authority within the Holy Roman Empire. So they did it for promises of wealth and power. They sold out their people. And those that didn't follow suit were either exiled or banished, or were either exiled or killed. Banishment or execution. And this wasn't a swift overnight thing. It was a process that took centuries. And it didn't fully take in some areas. And I'm not talking about the burning times mythos, which is it's misrepresented. It's another presentation that oversimplifies things and also inflates and exaggerates some statistics. The European Christian conversion happened over generations, and in some areas it was enforced with a heavier hand than others. It wasn't the same throughout Europe. And again, it was a process that unfolded over the course of centuries. But one thing it was not was loving, kind, and compassionate, and in most cases, it certainly wasn't willing on the part of the common people. But I kind of regret how I responded specifically, because when I saw that meme, my immediate response was, well, if you love your Catholicism so much, how about you take up the most beloved tradition of the priesthood and find an altar boy to fuck? And I kind of regret that one. But when I realized this conversation was devolving into basically a mudslinging campaign, I said, I just said to myself, you know what? Do I really want to waste my time, my energy, and into something that's not going to yield anything useful or helpful to anyone? So I just deleted all the comments, and I deleted the guy and blocked him. And because at the end of the day, somebody like that who feels the need to hurl an insult like that just because they feel threatened, or they feel invalidated, I don't see anything good that's going to come out of interacting with someone like that. And it makes me sad. It really does, because it just kind of seems to be the way of things today, and that's kind of where I'm going with this particular video. Is I really think that's one of the underlying issues with people of differing opinions and differing beliefs interacting today, is that all too often when somebody makes a statement or takes a stance that is oppositional to us, or that's too strong of a word, even disagreeable with us, we have this tendency to immediately respond as though we've been attacked. And why is that? I mean, and I'm asking. I'm not asking so that I can provide you with the answer. I don't have an answer to provide. I am asking because I would love to hear from you and get your take on it. Why this innate hostility when somebody presents something contradictory to your perspectives and beliefs? The most productive conversations I've had in regards to talking to somebody with a differing belief than myself, or a differing perspective on something, is asking, well, how did your perspective develop? What from your life experience led you to conclude to make this conclusion that you've made, so that I can kind of understand where they're coming from a little bit better. And you can't always be friends with people you disagree with. That's one of the things I've picked up out of the experience I had today. And but at the same time, disagreeing with somebody and not seeing eye to eye with them doesn't automatically mean you have to be enemies either. There are ways to coexist without interacting. I'm not going to hunt this guy down and seek to engage in physical violence. I'm not going to try to ruin his life. That's why I haven't dropped his name here. I'm not going to do that. I'm not interested in bringing any kind of harm to this guy, or acting out against him in any kind of malicious way. But the realization hit me that, if our interactions are going to be like this, where um, you feel the need to throw insults at me when I start presenting negative depictions of the institution you've chose to affiliate with, then I don't really think there's anything positive that's going to come out of our interactions. And so I'm not going to lash out at you. I'm just going to say goodbye and go on my merry way. You can exist. You can hold whatever opinions or assessments you have. They're just going to be without interacting with me. And that's how I believe in handling it. If we can't agree to disagree, if we can't disagree and still be friends, we don't have to be enemies. We can just agree to not interact with each other and go on about our merry lives. What do you think? How do you handle situations like that?